For the Dallas Cowboys, the playoffs have begun a bit earlier. After putting themselves in a tough position, they need to win out in order to have a shot at playing in January, and even then, they need a ton of outside help to make it. Less than a year ago, we saw the Cowboys become the 1 seed in the conference with a 133 record under rookie QB Dak Prescott. So naturally, it's fair to say that the fact that after 14 weeks the record of this football team is 76 is very disappointing. Some have even questioned, are they even worthy of being a playoffs team? Despite suffering from some key injuries and, well, suspensions, the Cowboys shouldn't be left off the hook. Players and coaches should be blamed. But even still, it's hard to believe that Dallas wouldn't have won at least one more game with Tyron Smith, Sean Lee, or Ezekiel Elliott available. I'm convinced that if Zeke hadn't been suspended, the Cowboys would at least have one more win. If that were the case, we probably wouldn't be suffering thinking about what combinations would get our favorite team in the postseason. All of this makes me wonder, do we know what this team is capable of? I think not. Let's take a quick look at the games Dallas has lost this year. At Denver Broncos vs LA Rams, no Sean Lee. Cowboys defense allowed 35 points vs GB Packers, no Sean Lee. Cowboys defense allowed 28 points at ATL Falcons, no Tyron Smith, no Ezekiel Elliott. Cowboys scored 7 points vs Fire Eagles, no Tyron Smith, no Ezekiel Elliott. Cowboys scored 9 points vs LA Chargers, no Ezekiel Elliott. Cowboys scored 6 points. I believe in the next man up mentality. But not when you're talking about going from Tyron Smith, who is arguably the best lieutenant in the league, to Chaz Green and Byron Bell. Sure, the coaching staff should have made a change earlier when Green was getting dark killed, but Bell wasn't much better. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make excuses for this football team at all. In fact, it's the same thing when you take a look at wins. Through 14 weeks, the Cowboys have just been able to beat one NFL team with a winning record, the Kansas City Chiefs. The thing is, despite being 76, the Chiefs are 28 since Week 6. I'm not sure why I'd qualify that as a winning team. We haven't seen this team face a strong, winning opponent and actually beat them. The Cowboys have one more game to win without Zeke, and then they'll be on to face the Seattle Seahawks. If Dallas gets to that game with an 86 record, the outcome of the Seattle game could define the Cowboys' 2017 season. With Ezekiel Elliott, Sean Lee and Tyron Smith all ready to go, it'd be the first time this year we see the Cowboys go against a quality opponent with all of the star players. Will this defining game come too late? Perhaps. It's no secret that the Cowboys need a ton of outside help in order to get into the playoffs with 106 record. Dallas Cowboys T. Jason Witten 82, QB Dak Prescott 4. Photo by Tom Pennington, Getty Images. But at least it'd be nice to see our team at least doing the job they can control and winning out. Even if it'd be painful to see them go 106 and still miss the playoffs, as fans, we probably want to see them doing the job. For now though, it's all about the Oakland Raiders. One more week without Ezekiel Elliott. After surviving a trap game against the Giants, the Cowboys must do the same again as they prepare to face a football team that has also been disappointing this season but still has dangerous playmakers, such as Derek Carr. And then, we might find out just how good the 2017 Dallas Cowboys really are. 2017 season Dallas Cowboys mandatory credit Richard Maxanusa, Today Sports. It's funny how quickly perception can change in the NFL. A little over 2 weeks ago, the sky was falling on the Dallas Cowboys. They had just been blown out 3 straight times, twice at home and twice against direct NFC playoff competitors. Cowboys Nation wanted firings, whether that meant head coach Jason Garrett, Scott Lyon and Rod Marinelli, or all of the above. Dak Prescott couldn't survive without Ezekiel Elliott, and all of the change made to the defense was beginning to be called a failure by the masses. Fast forward to this week. The Cowboys have now been the deliveries of butt kickings the last 2 weeks, and now sit at 76 with an outside chance at a playoff spot. And while the team looked like a complete mess without Elliott previously, a win Sunday would put them at 33 over the course of the Pro Bowl running back's suspension. And is that really all that bad? Heading into the suspension, most fans probably would have taken 33 without Elliott and 86 overall. Most fans would have, though, that would put the Cowboys right in the thick of the things in the NFC playoff hunt. Most would have assumed would be happy with an 86 Cowboys team. Unfortunately, 86 most likely won't be good enough in this year's playoff race. Especially considering the return of Aaron Rodgers and previous losses to both the Green Bay Packers and Atlanta Falcons. Plus, the entire NFC South has been fantastic this season. Besides Tampa Bay, and two teams from the West look legit as well. So maybe this just isn't the Cowboys' year. But the success of other teams in the conference shouldn't cloud our perception of what the Cowboys have done this season if they were to win Sunday night. A win over the Raiders this week would qualify the team's handling of the Elliott suspension as a success of sorts in terms of on the field, at least in my opinion. They would have kept themselves alive in a deep NFC playoff race, discovered a legitimate offensive weapon in Rod Smith, maintained a solid rushing attack over the majority of the 6 games, and allowed for some real growth from their young quarterback Dak Prescott. I know the first 3 games of the suspension were awful, and a team with the talent of the Cowboys shouldn't be losing that way 3 times in a row, or 3 times in a season at all. But something should be said about how the team has weathered that storm, and kept themselves above water in this competitive conference. But, of course, the result Sunday night could change all of this if the Cowboys come out and lay an egg in Oakland, effectively ending the season before Zeke even gets back. In that case, we will more vividly remember the 3 horrific losses in which the team was outcoached and embarrassed. But, still, those games should be remembered regardless of Sunday's outcome. So maybe success is a bit of a strong word. This week's game is not only a huge one in terms of the 2017 playoff race, but also maybe an important one for determining what the 2018 Cowboys will look like. It's funny how quickly some players are able to establish themselves as professional athletes and grow the fan base. That is exactly what Ezekiel Elliott has done in just a little over a year's time since becoming a member of the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, given his current situation, it's that fan base that might be starting to turn on him a little and doubt his long-term future in the NFL. Unless you have been living under a rock, you were fully aware of the 6-game suspension the NFL slapped Ezekiel Elliott with based on nothing more than accusations of possible domestic violence. Right or wrong, guilty or innocent, it happened and there is no taking it back. But unfortunately, because of the suspension, Elliott will now have to walk the straight and narrow if he wants to have any kind of career in the NFL. I honestly don't think Ezekiel Elliott is a bad guy, but the slightest slip-up will more than likely put his career in jeopardy. It doesn't matter how big or small the infraction, the NFL has already decided they're going to make an example of him. From here on out, Elliott is going to have to live like he is under a magnifying glass. Any kind of slip-up, big or small, will likely cause the league to suspend him an entire season. This unfortunately has been weighing on the minds of a lot of Cowboys Nation and has to be at least a little bit concerning for the Cowboys organization. You see, the Dallas Cowboys have Elliott under contract for at least 3 more years after this season. He has already proven how important he is to the offense and how much production dips without him in the lineup. They absolutely want him on the field because he makes them better. But any kind of slip-up would pretty much erase one of those 3 years. Look no further than what has happened with Randy Gregory. I've heard many fans voicing the concerns about Ezekiel Elliott's long-term availability with the Cowboys. They are afraid Elliott's immaturity will end up getting the best of him, and Zeke unfortunately has done nothing to ease those concerns so far. I for one am not all that concerned about Zeke's future in the NFL. I think his 6-game suspension has served as an eye-opening experience and that he will do better from here on out to put himself in better situations and surround himself with better, more trustworthy people. You can see any time Zeke is on the field his passion for the game and how much he enjoys it. I don't think he's going to put something he cares so much about in jeopardy. But unfortunately, he already has a bullseye on his back and can't afford to take a misstep. That will without a doubt put his future career in jeopardy. I personally can't wait to see how 21 responds when he is able to suit up once again next week against the Seattle Seahawks. I think he is going to play with a chip on his shoulder and run angry. That is the best way he can stick it to the league for suspending him based on accusations, and another reason why I'm not concerned about his future in the NFL. I know if it was me, my mindset would be to turn myself into the best player possible and once again become one of the more popular athletes in the league. That is about the only way he can say F you to the league, and I think that's exactly what he will do. Are you concerned about Ezekiel Elliott long term? The Dallas Cowboys are coming from a bounce-back win versus the Washington Redskins, in which they blew out the divisional rivals 3,814. The New York Giants are coming from a week in which head coach Ben McAdoo and general manager Jerry Reese were fired. The former is 66, and the latter is 210. You tell me which organization is getting the W this Sunday. Easy, right? Well, no. Not really. All week long, most of Cowboys Nation has been taking this win for granted. Understandably so, since New York is only a 2-win team. However, this is certainly one of those games with a trap game feel to it. It wouldn't be the first time we see a football team being led by a new coach to a surprise victory. Hell, we saw a very similar situation when Jason Garrett debuted as the Cowboys' interim head coach in 2010, against the Giants. Dallas Cowboys pound Sean Lee, New York Giants QB Eli Manning credits Tim Heitman, USA Today Sports. On top of that, you have Eli Manning back at the wheel after he was benched for Geno Smith a week ago. Even though the guy who made that decision is out of the picture, you have to imagine the veteran quarterback will go out to play with a chip on his shoulder. And if we're being completely honest with ourselves, this Cowboys team still has a lot to prove. Let's not forget the fact that they lost 3 consecutive weeks. That's why we're trying to find which NFC teams need to lose certain games. Because the Dallas Cowboys put themselves in this position. Dak Prescott is the future for this franchise, and despite having some tough games this year, I still believe he's the guy. However, as staff writer Kevin Brady recently wrote here at Inside the Star, Dak Prescott must overcome his struggles when facing the Giants. Prescott played his worst game of that spectacular rookie season when he traveled to East Rutherford, New Jersey, as the Cowboys' prolific offense was only able to score 7 points during the key loss. Although they have a 210 record, the Giants' defense shouldn't be underestimated. They still have personnel that can give the Cowboys' offense a bit of trouble, especially without Ezekiel Elliott running the ball. Sean Lee should be ready to go this week, and while many discuss whether or not the coaching staff should give him an extra week of rest, the truth is that's something the Cowboys can't risk to do. At the end of the day, lose one game and forget about playing in January. You need 50 on the field. If at some point in the second half they manage to get a big lead, securing a win, then let's hope they take him off the field and let the guy rest. But until then, Sean Lee should be playing. Dallas Cowboys Jordan Lewis, Chidobe Awuzie and Xavier Woods. App photo on Jenkins. Dallas is expected to start 3 rookies at cornerback. Jordan Lewis, Chidobe Awuzie and Xavier Woods could be the guys who line up to start the game in New York. Naturally, this is the case because they've proven to be solid players. But it's inevitable to be a bit scared of this situation when you're facing Eli Manning. Say what you want about him, but you never know what might happen when a player like that is on the other side of the field. I'm picking the Cowboys to win this football game for at least a touchdown. But let's not think of this game as if it were the Browns. If this ends up being a trap game and the Cowboys manage to get the 7th loss of the year, it's over. We're 14 weeks into the season and it feels like we don't know what this team is capable of doing with Sean Lee, Tyron Smith and Ezekiel Elliott starting at the same time. But this week will prove a lot of things about the Cowboys and their quest for the playoffs.